Alright guys, time for some hearty Grand Am content. So the next two videos are actually going to be around Tanner's car. This first one being basically what his build's going to be. If you haven't watched the other videos, I recently acquired a car that had a bunch of aftermarket stuff, and quite a bit of it's actually going to be going on Tanner's car. For those of you that haven't been around that long to see some of these cool parts that we got, and the others that don't really plan on doing anything, you can see what kind of aftermarket you can do as far as the V6, the 3.4 and the 3.5. We got a lot of old school parts that you don't see anymore, so I figured that's pretty cool to show you guys. So to start off, big picture, pretty much stuff that we don't have. Motor and trans. For motor, we're actually going to be doing a full 3.5. So I got to get another 3.5, basically just for the bottom end. We've got everything for the top end and then some. So got to get one of those. I'm waiting on to figure out what we're doing with this motor trans because I don't want stuff everywhere. For trans, the stock one is just not going to cut it. Well, our idea is a 4T65 HD, so a GTP trans. So people were like, oh, that's not much stronger, blah, blah, blah. In our case, it should be good enough. I have friends nearby in the W-body community that I'm calling upon for help with that, and once we get to that point, discuss what we need to do, what we need to get, go from there. Just making some mounts, some wiring, and tuning, which we're already doing. That's drivetrain in a nutshell that we're doing there and why. So here's pretty much all the motor parts. To start off, we talk about 3.5. This is the infamous crank trigger that everyone talks about that you need. It's pretty much the key part of a 3.5 spot. Pretty much everything else you can make on your own. This is just the difficult piece. Now, since I have a motor sitting here, if you were to 3.5 swap, you would actually take your harmonic balancer off your 3.4 and reuse that. So on the crank, there's also another trigger wheel basically that has 7 notches. They call it the 7X. In the 3.5, they changed that to a 56X, I believe. So it doesn't work with our computer. So that's where this guy comes in. So this has the 7 notches that you're missing. Basically what happens is it gets bolted to the front of your harmonic balancer. This guy gets bolted off to the side. And you stick that sensor from the back of the block into here. So in theory, as it's spinning, it's reading. Now we'll be leaving the block basically stock, so the rotating assembly anyway. For valve train, we'll obviously be doing some upgrades. One thing here is our double roller timing chain. So that's a nice upgrade to have. I've got one. They're pretty hard to find actually. So with that is a cam. So this is a Wotech turbo cam. Should be almost identical, if not the same cam that's in mine. So that brings us to our heads. So these are 3.5 heads. I actually have some multi-layer steel gaskets to go with that. ARP head studs. So with these heads, we have some LS springs here, new hardware, so that's cool. Don't have to mess with those. There's some light port work done to the heads. These are one of the original Millsy manifolds made for turbo back in the day. These are circa, I think, 08, 07, something like that. We're going to clean them up, either high temp paint them or wrap them, not sure, or both. So we go over here to our lower manifold. Again, some light port work there. Light port work up here. Lower manifold, pretty standard. We'll be doing a new thermostat. Something to note here. So on a 3.5 lower manifold, there is no boss here for your temp sensor. It's actually in the head. This guy ended up blocking that off and drilling and tapping to put it back in the stock location. Pretty cool. And we come to our upper. So smooth over and powder coated. That'll be changed. Tanner's theme is silver and blue. So we'll do this accordingly once we decide. After the build, all that stuff's done, we'll decide what we're going to powder coat, what we're going to powder coat it, and all that fun stuff. Drill tap for a nice vacuum fitting here. That'll go for another piece I'll show you here in a minute. EGR evap deletes. And pretty rare cool piece here is TCE. This is a 65 millimeter with the Millsy adapter. Flip it over and we'll see some more light port work there. So not too bad for upgrades. He drilled and tapped here for a nice plug for the PCV system, which was deleted on this setup. So we'll have to address that once we get Tanner's car going. Valve covers here too. So along with that, here's an AN fitting for the catch can that we'll be using. And then on the back valve cover, he also drilled and tapped for that bigger plug. We come down here to the spoolie boy. Nice Garrett. Pretty much same thing as mine. Mine is a 60 and a 63. This one's a 70 and a 63. So a little bit bigger on the cold side. Got our AN fittings on both the feed and drain here. Here's the lines for that. All steel braided, so those are nice. We'll have to take the oil pan off that new motor and have a fitting welded on it, because the pan on the old motor, as you saw, went boom. Got brand new lifters. Rockers are adequate. Stock, they come 1/6, so that's a good ratio. Push rods hung on to, I don't believe they are aftermarket, so we'll probably get a hold of Ben and get some aftermarket ones just like mine. And that's pretty much everything motor. Let's look at all the accessories and we'll talk about some other stuff that he's doing. So here's the intercooler piping. Really nice intercooler here. I noted where he bolted it on, so that's pretty cool. It's pretty sturdy. Probably run it 90 to 95% the same way I was run on this car, maybe a few tweaks. So our blow off valve there. And, this is actually making me want to upgrade mine, so probably will. And here's our catch can, nice All-Star Performance one. And here's that AN fitting that goes on the valve cover. Up here we have, I guess it's kind of motor, whatever, but there's our downpipe. Stock 02, wideband 02, which I'll show you here in a second. Turbonetics wastegate here, so that's really nice. I believe this to be a high volume pump, so I'm gonna run the number and figure that out. If not, we will be running one, so I'll put one in mine, so I'll put one in his too. This piece is pretty cool. Nice vacuum manifold here. So hook that up to the manifold and everything else. HVAC, fuel regulator. This is for the boost gauge, so that's really nice. Some ARP hardware came with it. Got Allen heads for the upper manifold. So for electronics, I've got this over here, so we'll start here. This is a Casper's fan wiring kit. So basically what this does, you see there's relays, plugs, and a switch. Plugs into the factory harness. You can retain the factory settings for your fan, so it'll still come on when it needs to, but it gives you the option to override. This neat little switch here that actually has an indicator light. Cool upgrade. Then in here we got some goodies. So there's actually two of these interceptor gauges. There is oil pressure gauge, simple altimeter. Here's a sender with that. Then we have our boost gauge, nice AEM. And last but not least, probably the neatest thing that I found in this car. So this is a digital air fuel gauge. It's called a Power Dex. They actually still sell these things. And yeah, that's where this guy comes in. And it's all digital. So that's pretty cool. So that'll be going on to his. He's actually getting a 3-pillar gauge. Probably do the interceptors and the oil pressure up there. Boost gauge will probably go in the vent like mine, and then obviously that Power Dex shoved somewhere. We actually have steel braided lines off the car we just bought. It has a set of good ridge just like mine, except one front one is actually busted. Right in about the center, it's split somehow and it's leaking everywhere. So I found these on eBay that seem to be correct. take the ones off the back, replace the front ones, and either way he's going to get steel braided lines. So that'll be good for that. So we just did the rear disc setup, the suspension setup pretty much done. Oh, one other thing too is when I put on my speed belt bars onto my car, we're going to take the GT stock sway bars and put on his car, since his is an SE. That's one thing most may not know is that's one of the differences between the trims is the sway bars are a little bit different sizes, but it's an upgrade at least, and figured why not since I'm not using the stock ones. And we're putting everything else GT on his car, so might as well. And really that's pretty much it. And obviously gotta get the motor and trans. Oh, fuel pump needs upgraded. He'll have 60-pound injectors. Actually, that's what I forgot to show you guys. So when you fund a project, you get first pick at stuff. So he's getting 60-pound injectors just like mine. Except this rail has a Casper's adjustable fuel regulator, which is pretty cool. That's a neat rare item to find. And there's a fuel pressure gauge installed. So since my car is already up and running for the time being, we're just gonna slap this whole thing into mine, since it'll be plug and play, and then take mine out. We'll eventually fit a fuel pressure gauge onto that, and then it'll go on his build, since it's gonna be down the road. Having that fuel pressure gauge is such a great thing. I know some of you guys watching with pretty big builds know what I'm talking about with the fuel pressure issues. Cosmetic things, really the only thing left to do with his, since his came show ready. Wheels he wants to change eventually, probably not anytime soon. Interior is going all gray. We started with the seats, as you'll see in his video, and we've been collecting the interior pieces, so that'll go all gray. And then he'll be getting a spoiler like this. We actually have it. It's been put away. We just got to figure out how to paint it. Well, gonna paint it and then figure out how we want to go about mounting it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing some of these cool parts. I don't want to make any guesses or power goals. Really, I would just like to see the setup run at the 15 psi that it was before, effectively, efficiently, and not have any issues. As we start this build, I'll cover it a lot more than I did on mine. With mine, I was still kind of learning videos and how to use YouTube and all that fun stuff, and really gaining that eye of how to shoot something. So now that I've learned, I've grown, this build will be able to cover a lot. You guys will really see a lot of detail going into it. You'll be able to see what really goes into a full build here. Look forward to his video and others. I've got others going with this whole Cars with Friends. Just been a really busy last couple months between work and picking up these cars and everything else going on. So I hope to meet up with these different people that I've contacted and reach out to you for their vehicles and show you guys them. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.